All right, Shalom. Let's check the feed real quick. Make sure we up and running. Audio's on point. All right, we live. Hey, Shalom, Shalom. Before I get started with this live lesson, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit of the Rakakwadash. And I want to get right to this lesson here. Just kind of thinking out loud, I came across this article yesterday. I was speaking about it at camp. Just wanted to do a quick live lesson on it just to give you an example of how close, again, we are to the end of this world, all right? This title here of this show, Thy Wisdom and Thy Knowledge, it had perverted thee. Thou hast said, I am, and none else beside me, quoting Isaiah 47, verses 9 and 10, which we'll get that in a second, all right? But I wanted to open up with this this article that you see here on the screen, all right? Because like when you go into the scriptures in Genesis, the 6th chapter, let me pull that up. You know, scriptures talk about how the wickedness of man was great in the earth, all right? Speaking about what happened back then. So how much more now in today's world? We're seeing that end time, you know, flood-like behavior on a very high level now. All right. The rebellion against Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is at maximum. Right. And that's kind of what I wanted to give the example of, you know. But real quick, let me grab that scripture. Genesis chapter 6 and verse 5, it says, and Yahweh power saw that wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. All right. So this is back then, pre-flood, right? You know, this is the reason why the Lord brought the flood upon the earth. All right. Think about the you know, the sorcery, the occultism, you know, the flat out rebellion against Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai back then. And look how greater it has grown now in this time, right? But it says Yahweh power saw Genesis 6 and 5, and Yahweh power saw that wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Verse 6, it says, and it repented the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Right. And that just shows you how terrible it was back then. Okay, like I said, how much more now in this time? It says, verse 7, Genesis 6 and 7, and the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. Right. So that's how the scriptures give you the condition, all right, or how bad it was, all right, in those times, you know. And I want to give an example of now, because we see that this devil, all right, Esau, so-called white man, is on a complete rampage right now, all right. And the spirit has been on all of us to speak about the modern day Chaldeans, these technocrats, these scientists, all right, these pretty much these left-handed priests, you know, these witches, magicians, and warlocks, all right. How you see the you know, the artificial intelligence, this transhumanist movement that's being pushed very heavily right now, which is pretty much Satanism. All right, the concept of atheism. All right, you know, this whole idea of Esau's so-called scientific wisdom. All right, which is not true wisdom. It's just wickedness, man. All right, and it's not going to avail. It's not going to, you know, progress humanity, society. It's just all, you know, bullshit, pretty much. And that's kind of what I want to get into, because I saw this article, which we'll get to in a second. Let me pull it up, and we'll come back to it. But this is how the level of wickedness is surely increasing, man. All right. And I was speaking about this yesterday. This article is from NDTV. It says controversy erupts as scientists start work to create artificial human DNA. All right. So once again, this man has put himself in that position to be the most high. All right. But we'll come back. So let's play this first. Because when I was reading this article and looking at the video, I was thinking about that devil, Yuval Noah Harari, as we always bring out. But everything that he said a couple of years ago in this interview, they've been pushing this, man, very, very hard, man. So let's pull that up real quick. All right.
The next big projects of humankind will be to overcome old age and death, to find the keys, the secret to happiness, and to basically upgrade humans into gods. This is why the title Homo Deus, God Man. And I don't mean it as a kind of literary metaphor. I mean it in the literal.
And they're attempting to so-called upgrade human beings into gods by the way of this these enchantments, this sorcery, man. All right, through this occultism that we're seeing being pushed very, very heavily right now in these last days. Right? Let's start that back. Excuse me.
The next big projects of humankind will be to overcome old age and death, to find the keys, the secret to.
Yeah, that's heavy too. Let me get that. Salakia, keep stopping and going. The scriptures come to mind as he talks, but that's the main goal. All right, these devils actually think that they're going to cheat death. Right, I got to bring that back out. This is this is Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Okay, because you devils are not going to cheat death. All right, you're not gonna offset prophecy. You're not gonna change your destiny as you think. All right, and these are the thoughts of a madman. All right, this is Ecclesiastes 8 and 6. It says, we'll start at 5. Ecclesiastes 8 and 5. It says, "Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment." Because we're clearly at the end. Right? There's no denying that. All right. This is verse 6. It says, "Because to every purpose there is time and judgment. Therefore, the misery of man is great upon him." Verse 7, it says, "For he knoweth not that which shall be, for who can tell him when it shall be?" The point, verse 8, it says, there is no man that have power over the spirit to retain the spirit. All right. And this is why, as we brought out these lessons over these past years, going into this, what do they want to do? They want to upgrade, their spirit, their consciousness into a computer, into a cloud, right? Where they can, upload their spirit to machines and become one with the machine and live forever. Okay. These are all delusions, of the devil, man. Okay. It says there is no man that have the spirit. So like there is no man that have power over the spirit to retain the spirit. Neither have he power in the day of death. And there is no discharge in that war. Neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. So no matter what these devils push, these TED Talks, these EU meetings, they get on these platforms and they talk about how they have the technology to surpass the power of God, how they have the ability to live forever. The concept of which I did a lesson before, going into what's it called when they try to freeze themselves. It's a word. Cryonics. All right, where they're talking about freezing their bodies, for the next 200 years, and then unthawing and coming back. It's just a bunch of bullshit, man. All right, but this shows you how desperate these devils are to try to offset prophecy to escape judgment. All right, it's not going to happen. Okay, as it's declared throughout the scriptures, man. All right, so it says, "Neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it." So no matter what they do, the transhumanism, the whatever, all these different philosophies that they're pushing is not going to allow them to avoid their destiny, man. All right, so let's go back.
Old age and death, to find the keys, the secret to happiness, and to basically upgrade humans into gods. This is why the title Homo Deus, God-man. And I don't mean it as a kind of literary metaphor. I mean it in the literal sense that for thousands of years, humans have imagined gods in a particular way. They ascribed particular abilities and qualities to gods. And we are here in a church, and the walls are full of these descriptions of what God can do. And we are now seriously in the business of acquiring these traditional divine abilities and qualities to ourselves, whether it's trying to overcome death and gain immortality, or whether...
You hear what he said? We just read that. All right. We just read that in Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter. All right. So that cuts that whole idea, that whole philosophy that he's pushing, man. It's not going to happen. But through the pride of these devils, they actually think that they can achieve that. See?
Whether it's gaining the, whether it's trying to overcome death and gain immortality, or whether it's gaining the ability to create and design life according to our wishes. In the Bible, in the book of Genesis, basically the first thing God does is to create animals and plants and humans according to his wishes. We are now trying to gain this divine ability to ourselves. It's very likely that in the 21st century, the main product, the most important products of the human economy will no longer be just vehicles and textiles and food and weapons. The main products will be bodies and brains and minds. And in a way, we are even reaching beyond what ancient religions ascribed to the gods. Because the gods, like Jehovah in the Bible, they could create only organic beings. If you're a creationist and you look at the world, so all these animals, all these plants, God created them and they are all organic. Now humans are trying to do better than that.
There you go. Let's get this real quick and we'll get to the main point. But I had to play that just to show you that they actually think
in his new book, Nexus, A Brief History of
Shalaki, they actually think that they can achieve this on the left-hand side. It's not going to happen. All right. But this is that God complex, as you see, that these devils are boasting about. Right. This is I was thinking about this too. This is Ezekiel chapter 28 and verse 2, and it reads, it says, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Shemel Rashad, because thy heart is lifted up. Right, just as you heard in the video, because thy heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man and not God, though thou set thy heart as the heart of the Most High. Right. So this chapter, is dealing with the prince of Tyrus, which you apply that to Esau today. All right, this is spiritually Esau. Babylon, America, man. Okay. The same spirit, the same mindset now. Verse 3, it says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. Right. Because this man, as the scriptures say, this man does a diligent search. All right. This man has been blessed with the sword, that left hand. So tying it into his science, his technology. All right. This AI that we see today. All right, this so-called transhumanist movement. Okay, it's all tied into that, man. All right. It says, with thy wisdom and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten the riches and has gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. Right. So through this left hand wisdom, which is not really wisdom anyway, but through that, this is how he has the ability, all right, to reap riches unto himself. Okay, this is how he's gotten the wealth, the power. It says, verse 5, it says, by thy great wisdom. You see, again, going into that left hand. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches and thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches. So again, this man has the power. All right. The Lord has given him that power. Like it tells you in was it Romans, the 9th chapter, how the Lord said he raised Pharaoh up, essentially, man, to show thy power within you, you know, because really in the end, you know, these devils are getting ready to see the true living power, man. Okay. And he's getting ready to find out that he's just a man, as we're reading here. It says, verse 6, therefore, thus said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because thou hast set thy heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, therefore, I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they should draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, right? And shall defile thy brightness. It says they should bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Would thou yet say before him that slaved thee, am I a God? But thou should be a man and no God in the hand of him that slayed thee, right? So this how you know, again, as these devils, you know, continue to boast in their pride and their arrogancy. All right, we're close, we're very close to the demise of these devils, man. All right, they're getting ready to see that they're just mortal men and not gods as they claim to be, right? So jumping into this real quick, and I want to play the video as well, right? Just to make the point, because hey, like it says before we read it, Daniel 12:4, it says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So the fact that we see, you know, this transhumanist movement, this AI, the AGI, the Palantir, you know, the chip being pushed, okay, mass surveillance. Again, these are all indicators of what? Of the end of this world, man. Okay, pretty much Esau has reached his cap, his threshold, man. Okay, so the fact that knowledge, that you see the knowledge increasing, the technology, again, this is the major signs of the end of the world, right? So back in the article, it says here from NDTV, it says controversy erupts as scientists start work to create artificial human DNA. All right, this man is really playing the Most High. It says the Synthetic Human Genome Project is being funded by the Wellcome Trust, which has donated RS 117 CROR. It says 10 million pounds. Okay, it says it says scientists have begun work on a controversial project that aims to create human DNA from scratch. You see this? Let's read that again. Scientists have begun to work on a controversial project that aims to create human DNA from scratch. World's largest medical charity, the Wellcome Trust, has donated RS 117 CROR to 10 million pounds to start the project, which involves scientists from universities including Oxford, Cambridge, and Imperial College. Regarded as the building blocks of human life, DNA is made up of repeating units called nucleotides, which contain all the genetic information that physically makes us who we are. Scientists involved in the Synthetic Human Genome Project are now attempting to create a fully synthetic human chromosome. All right. It says making up about 2% of human DNA as proof of concept. The ultimate aim is to maybe one day create all of it from scratch. Okay. These devils have to be stopped. All right. Let's play the video real quick here. All right. Bear with me. All right. This is from like 2 or 3 days ago from BBC News. All right. Let me let my computer catch up a little bit. Slack here. All right, here we go.
Now, the world's largest medical charity, the Wellcome Trust, has announced plans to carry out controversial research to try to learn how to build human DNA from scratch. The technology could one day allow scientists to create synthetic life using chemicals in a lab. Here's our science correspondent, Palab Ghosh.
Imagine the power to design human life, to dream up new versions of the genes that control the living processes in our bodies. That is what's about to happen in this lab in Cambridge. Researchers here will not just study human life, they'll be able to reshape it in an effort called the Synthetic Human Genome Project.
The Synthetic Human Genome Project, man. All right. Who does this man think he is? Right? Again, all the examples we need to show us that the end is very close, man. All right. Real quick, Isaiah 14. I was thinking about that. Isaiah 14 and verse 12, it says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" Right? Lucifer going into the king of Babylon, man, the Edomite. Okay. It says, "For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High." All right, which goes into the Israelites, the 12 tribes. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. The point, it says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And we're seeing these devils daily boast in the technology, all right, in the occultism, all right, in the transhumanist bullshit, man, the AI, okay, all of these different things that tie in, again, the rebellion against the Most High, the sorcery, the witchcraft, okay. This is how this devil has set himself up as a god on earth by the means of that left hand, man. You see, verse 15, it says, "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit." So again, as we are living in the time of the height of his sufficiency, all right, this devil is getting ready to be brought down quick and fast. Okay, he's getting ready to be brought down to destruction, as we see. Because look, as all these things are going on, as we talk about, as we see the height of his pride, what else is going on? The preparation of nuclear war. Okay, the end of the world, the war of Armageddon. All these things are being prepared as this man continuously boasts in his pride and his technology in his left hand. Okay, it's literally side by side, man. It says, verse 16, "They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?" This is the man that matter of fact, let's read on. It says, "That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened out the house of the prisoners." So this man, this Edomite, is responsible, man. These are the people that turned the world into a wilderness, man, that destroyed cities, man, nations. All right, through warfare, through his biological warfare, his technology, his so-called science. These people are responsible for bringing destruction to this world. The red horse, Revelation 6 and 4. Okay, so again, as we talked about at camp, there's no denying that fact. Okay.
Pit in an effort called the Synthetic Human Genome Project.
Well, I think the sky's the limit. We are looking at therapies that would hopefully improve people's lives as they age and lead to healthier aging with less disease and disability as people get older.
Every cell in our body contains a molecule called DNA, and that contains 4 much smaller blocks of molecules called A, C, T, and G. These are repeated over and over again in various combinations to create a genetic code that amazingly makes us, us. And the Human Genome Project enables scientists to read it, just like a barcode. But the new Synthetic Genome Project will take this a giant leap further. Not only will they be able to read the DNA, They hope to be able to write parts of it, maybe one day all of it, from scratch, molecule by molecule.
Yeah, so as we saw here earlier, all right, he's tapping into that power where he has the ability to change that, man. You see, again, as we read earlier, you know, how the wickedness of man was great in the earth. How much more now? Okay, this man is literally playing God right before our eyes here, man. Okay, they can gene edit your DNA to create GMO humans, man. This is it. and this is not going to go any further, man. Okay, destruction is around the corner, man. Right?
There are concerns, though, that some may misuse the technology, for example, to create enhanced humans or create deadly biological weapons.
Exactly. What you thought this was going to be for something good? This is exactly for what it's for. This man is the devil. All right. Everything that he pushes always involves malicious intent, man. Every single time. Okay. This is exactly what it's used for. All right. Man.
Enhanced humans or create deadly biological weapons.
The genie is out of the bottle. We could try to impose a set of restrictions now, but if an organization who has access to the appropriate machinery decided to just simply start synthesizing anything, I don't think anybody could stop them.
The world's largest medical...
And this is why I said that's the spirit. This is why the Edomite has to be stopped. Okay? There's no limit with this man. Right?
Charity, the Wellcome Trust, has decided that the potential benefits to human healthcare outweigh the risks and have decided to fund the research.
So this is going to be such a transformative technology. It could impact all diseases. It's too early to say exactly which are the first diseases that we'll be able to tackle in new ways, but it's such a general purpose technology that it's feasible it will impact every disease.
The Human Genome Project propelled us into a new era of medicine. The hope is that the Synthetic Human Genome Project will accelerate that revolution, but with it come new dangers as we begin to have unprecedented new ways of shaping human life. Pramod Ghosh, BBC News.
There you go, man. Knowledge shall increase, man. This is the end. Let's play another one real quick, and then we'll grab a few scriptures and wrap it up. Right? You know, exactly. What the fuck could possibly go wrong? Exactly, man. Right? Doomsday movies typically start like this. See, this is the spirit. Okay, everybody see. That's why we read the article. What did it say? It says controversy erupts. All right, this is a controversial thing. This man is attempting to play God, man. Okay, he can manipulate DNA. He could change what it means to be a human. This is what it's all about. The nanotechnology, the chip. All right, remember that devil Noah Harari. What did he say? We have the ability to hack human beings through that chip. They can get in there and hack your fucking brain, take over your spirit, man. All right, this is truly diabolical shit. Right? This is why the Lord has to come. Right? Let's play another one real quick and we'll grab some scriptures here. Right? Just want to put emphasis on the fact that, look, we almost out of here, man. Let that pass. Salaki, let me pull it up.
So it's no longer science fiction. It is a scientific reality. British scientists are assembling human DNA, not from cells, but from scratch. One day, a fully synthetic human could be built, molecule by molecule, and the world is, of course, split. Is this going to be a miracle, or is it a creation of a Frankenstein? Take a look.
Yeah, this is the world that we're headed to. This is the future. We're in it right now, man. All right. Again, the AI, the chip, okay, synthetic humans, all right, all of that. Okay, the alchemy, the Satanism, we hear, man. And like we said before, he's going to make the world depend on his so-called scientific wisdom. Remember when Biden was in office, right? And they had pushed that the C-19. Remember what Biden kept saying? We're going to trust in the science. We're going to trust in the science, right? And now who's leading the world? Who's leading America? These technocrats, man. All right, you had the those top Palantir officials that got sworn in as high-ranking military officials. These are the people that are ruling the earth, man, that are running the show.
The line between science fiction and terrifying reality blurs. In a move that sends shivers down the spine, UK scientists have embarked on a project to create something which has never been done before. An artificial human DNA is being built from scratch, backed by a £10 million grant from the Wellcome Trust. Scientists at Cambridge's MRC Laboratory of Molecular Biology are now assembling the very code of life in test tubes. This isn't just about understanding life, it's about building it, molecule by molecule, potentially paving the way for designer humans and unleashing Pandora's box of bioweapons upon the world. The very building blocks of humanity are now being used as tools in a lab, and the consequences could be severe. But as the first artificial strands of human DNA take shape, so do the nightmares. Critics warn that the same technology that could heal could just as easily harm. The specter of designer babies and genetic enhancement is only the beginning. Rogue actors could hijack the science, crafting biological weapons or synthetic pathogens with terrifying precision. The ethical dilemmas multiply. Who owns synthetic life? Who controls the data? Could your DNA be recreated without your consent? The project's backers insist that confronting these questions now is better than letting the technology run wild in the shadows. But as the world watches, the sense of unease grows. Humanity is on the brink of a new era, one where the power to create life is matched only by the risk of unleashing something we cannot control.
There you go, man. Humanity is on the brink of destruction, man. Right? Real fast. So this is a prime example again of how his wickedness has perverted his mind. Right? Real quick. Job 22. And like I said, I was just thinking out loud as I, went through these articles and videos, just for you all to see where we're at in time, man. All right. Job 22:5, it says, "Is not thy wickedness great and thy iniquities infinite?" All right. So there's no level to there's no limit to this man's wickedness, man. Okay. This is why the Lord had to speed the days up. You see how time is flying. Okay. Because if the Lord didn't shorten the days, no flesh would be saved. This is the world that he's trying to bring. All right. This artificial world, this artificial age, merging man with machine. All right. Injecting your body full of these different types of V's and fucking nanobots, man. All right. Splicing genes, creating new human DNA, artificial humans, man. Hey, this man got to go. Right. Isaiah 47. I'm sorry. Here we go. Isaiah 47. All right. And this, like I said, this is a primary example of this scripture here. All right. This is Isaiah 47:8. It says, therefore, excuse me. It says, therefore, hear now this, thou art given to pleasures and dwellest carelessly. Thou sayest in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Right? He says in his mind, in his heart, that he is the Most High. It says, I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. verse 9, it says, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment and one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. Everything that we've been seeing thus far. Okay, everything that's being pushed right now. Okay, concerning this left hand in the name of science. All right. It says, verse 10, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, and thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. See that? His mind is corrupted, man. All right. He's drunk off his own wickedness, man. Okay. To the point where he's actually boasting that he could surpass the power of the Most High. That human beings can be gods, is what he's saying. Right? But through left-handed means. Okay, because like I said before in another lesson that I did, right? Hey, these Edomites, these devils, these top devils, they know that, you know, immortality is going to come through the right hand, through Yahweh Shem Yahushua. All right, they know that the elect are going to be raised up with immortal bodies with power, but they think that they can achieve that by left-handed means, right? Which is not going to happen. This is thy wisdom and thy knowledge that have perverted thee, and thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. See? Now I was looking this up in the chat GPT. Let's pull this up too. All right. So here we go. Isaiah 49. I'm sorry, Isaiah 47 and 9. And this is in the chat GPT. So going to Isaiah 47 and 9, it says these two things, going into the breakdown here, it says these two things in one day. It says two calamities are named, loss of children and widowhood. These symbolize utter devastation in personal and national terms. Children often represent future generations of citizens, or husband might represent leadership or divine protection. It says in a moment in one day implies sudden catastrophic judgment. Echoing themes seen in apocalyptic literature, e.g. Revelation 18 and 8, all right, which that chapter goes into the destruction of Babylon, man. Okay. It says, shall come upon thee in their perfection. Perfection here means full measure or complete intensity. It says Babylon will suffer the full brunt of punishment without mitigation. It says the irony here, Babylon prided itself on perfection, but that will be turned against her, right? And that's what we see now. They, through this technology, as we heard from the devil Yuval Noah Harari, they actually think that they have achieved perfection. All right, through the left hand. Like he said, we got the power now. We can do this. We can be gods. All right. If the Most High, brings a drought, we can make it rain. You know how the Messiah is fake news. We don't need to rely on the Bible anymore. You know, all these different things that have been said on these platforms, right? It says, point 3 says, for the multitude of thy sorcery enchantments, Babylon was known for its astrology, divination, and magic arts. Isaiah 47 and 13, it says, these practices represent a rejection of the true God and reliance on occult power, as we just saw. Okay, we see that occultism is at an all-time high right now, man. Okay, it says the punishment is justified, judgment is proportional to the depth of Babylon's idolatry and rebellion. You see that? Verse 10, it says, thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Babylon's confidence came from its power and corruption, and though it says it thought its sins would protect or elevate it. All right, as we see now, there's a spiritual principle here. There's a spiritual principle here. When people rely on their sins for advantage, they become blinded to truth, right? This is why he's drunk off of his wickedness, man. To the point where he said that, look, that none seeth me, right? Suggests arrogance and secrecy, a belief that one's sins are hidden or that no one, especially God, will judge, right? And the scripture say that. Let me get that too. in the Apocrypha. Right? Let me pull that up. How's it go? That the Lord's eyes are 10,000 times brighter. Let me get that. 10,000 times brighter, right? I believe that's how it goes. Let me see if I can pull it up. Bear with me. Brighter than the sun. If somebody can post that, I can't think of it right now. Brighter than the sun. Let me see. I'm trying to find that scripture real quick. Yeah, here we go. I got it right here. This is Sirach 23. In verse 19, it says, such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men. See? And considering the most secret parts. Yeah, so everything that these devils, claim to be doing in secret, it's all being seen by the Most High. It's all being reported by the angels of Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right. So there's no getting around that point. See? Everything's being seen by the Lord, man. Right? Isaiah 29. Right? Isaiah 29 and bear with me. Yep. Isaiah 29 and I start at verse 14. Isaiah 29 and 14, and it reads, it says, therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of the prudent men shall be hid. Right. So all of this, all of this madness, this AI, this transhumanism, this Scientology bullshit, the occultism, all of this is going to be brought to nothing. All right. Verse 15, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? Right. So as we just read, the Lord sees all. All right. Nothing gets past the eyes of Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right. So none of these philosophies, none of these plans are going to come into fruition, man. All right. The Lord is getting ready to destroy these fucking devils, man. All right. We're finishing it out here in the chat GPT. All right. It says back in point 2 again, thou hast said, none seeth me. Suggests arrogant and secrecy, a belief that one's sins are hidden and that no one, especially the Most High, will judge. Similar to the Psalm 10 and 11, he said in his heart that the Most High forgotten. Point 3, it says, thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Babylon was known for its intellectual and mystical knowledge, right? And that's what we see today. Okay, the AI, the AGI, okay, basically the Chaldeans, man, these technocrats, these billionaires, the so-called scientists, all right? It says, but it led to pride and self-deception. True wisdom leads to humility. False wisdom leads to self-worship, right? Because what are they doing? They're projecting themselves as God, the rulers of the world. Okay. Paul echoes a similar theme in Romans 1 and 22, professing themselves to be wise. They became fools. See? Point 4, I am and none else beside me. Babylon arrogantly mimics divine language. Isaiah 45 and 5, where God says, I am the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, and there is none else. This blasphemous self-deification is the height of pride, right? As we heard, okay? Babylon has set itself in a place of God, which is why its fall is so absolute, okay? Putting emphasis on the point of this lesson again, or how quick this place is about to fall. As we see the height of pride, as we see the climax of his sufficiency right now. All right, as it said that in Job, right at the height of his sufficiency, he should be in straits, man. And the iron weapon shall strike him through, right? Which is those missiles. It says this same attitude is echoed in Revelation 18 and 7 concerning Babylon the Great. She saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, right? and the point. It says, judgment, theological themes, judgment against pride. Babylon's downfall is a divine response to arrogance, idolatry, and occultism. False security, trust in wealth, knowledge, and secrecy is illusionary. God sees and judges all. Divine sovereignty. Only God can truly say, I am, and there is none else. Babylon's usurpation of this phrase invites divine retribution. You see? So like I said, the parallels. As he's at the height of his pride, look what's happening. Nuclear wars being set. All right. Nations are coming together with these alliances to destroy this place, man. As we see America and Israel being separated on the world stage right now. Okay. Look how it's all coming together. Right. It says, we'll finish out this last part here. Historical context. Babylon here represents not just a city, but an empire and system opposed to the Most High. Okay. Babylon, America has been set up to be in complete rebellion against Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Isaiah was prophesying the future fall of Babylon, which occurred at the hands of the Medo-Persian Empire, 539 BC. It says, yet this also foreshadows the final fall of Babylon the Great in Revelation. See? Symbolic of the world system in rebellion against Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Boom, man. All right. And that's the point. So we're there, man. All right. Again, like I said, I just wanted to put emphasis on that point of how close that we are to the destruction of this place, man. Okay. Death is at America's door. You know? So I pray that this quick lesson was edifying, man. All right. It's all going down. That this man thinks he's the Most High, but the Lord is getting ready to show him that he's just a man and not the Most High, man. You see? So I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and Shalom to the next one. Shalom.